Now, um, my first slide gives you a question. Now, what does it mean to be intelligent in our society? I would love if you could, type in the chat box. I think live chats are on, right? So I could. Is it possible for me to see the chats?
Yes, ma'am.
But I'll have to come out of this. Yeah, I would love to see the chats.
Ma'am, you can have full screen. If we are having any questions, we'll let you know, or if there is any messages, we'll read out. You
All
can
right.
have full screen.
All right. All right. Fine. Fine.
Prachi, could you please keep reading?
Yes, ma'am. People have started writing ability to think, to be present mentally, to be aware, to solve problems, being emotional as well as mentally stable, to have a good social
You
interaction,
have muted me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fine. So,
to be
fine.
educated. There are many more.
All right. So all these answers are very correct. But usually when we talk to somebody, it is like, scoring about 85% or 90% or 95% marks, and then getting into medicine or engineering or seeking admissions in the IITs or any of these reputed institutions. That is what we mean by being intelligent in our society these days, right? So, that is what it is. And what do these educational institutions value, and what do most of our, not all of them, I don't say all of them, but most of our educational institutions also value, as you see in the picture, just putting the content into the heads of the students, and writing exams, whatever is learned, just memorizing things, learning, retention, accumulation of valuable knowledge and skills, and delivered by the traditional teacher centered methods, right? So and students are also matched. They are matched by age, they are matched by ability. Most probably, in schools and colleges, you see the divisions are also made on that basis, and that is how our education system promotes, correct? And how do we measure a person's intelligence? It's usually, most of you must have gone for these IQ tests after your 10th or your 12th, or maybe when you want to select which field you all want to get into, or which aspect of which career you would like to join in, and depending upon that, probably you all have decided to take up a particular course. So it is all about rote learning, emphasis on remembering contents of the book or documentation, rather than, developing logic, developing thinking, developing intuition. However, there have been changes in our education system since a few years. And there have been, the education system has brought in many changes in our curriculum and teaching methodologies used by the teachers. Yes, most of the teaching online. This is the best example these days, which we have been, we are trying to also cater during this COVID-19 lockdown period. So a lot many teaching methodologies are being learned by teachers, as well as they have been online classes have come into existence. But still, we need, measuring of intelligence. When we say, it's always the IQ that is measured. Okay, we do not know the other concepts of intelligence. So here,
Excuse me, Dr. Bhavna.
yes.
Could you just increase the volume a little bit more, because the participants are not able to hear it?
Okay, okay. I think I'm going to be clear, right? Because I'm using my headphones. Yeah.
The audio is clear, but the volume, if it could be raised, like the audio is clear. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only low.
Okay. I've switched on to 100% actually. Um, okay, I'll be a little louder. Then I think I'll be heard, right?
Yeah, yeah, perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. So as I said, some of you must have, gone for testing your IQ levels. And intelligence is often defined as our intellectual potential, something we are born with, something that can be measured, and a capacity that is difficult to change. Okay, over the years, intelligence has been defined, redefined, it has been summarized, and one person does no one person has the exact definition or idea of intelligence. Now, here, let me tell you that there has been a paper that was written, and and it was titled "The Collective Definitions of Intelligence." And do you know how many definitions there were in it? There were 70 definitions of intelligence. Different educationists, different psychologists have all, given so many different definitions of intelligence and different interpretations of what intelligence entails. So if you look at this picture also tells you, gives different range of intelligence. And if you all have heard about, if you all have heard about, if you all have gone through a test and tested your own intelligence, you will know where you fall into. But doesn't matter. This is not so important. And here, if here there is a question which arises. Now let me tell you one more thing here. When we're looking at this picture, there's an interesting thing. I don't know whether you all have realized or whether you all have noticed in your classrooms. There are very few students with a rather high IQ, and very few students who have rather low IQ, whereas maximum students lie in the average category. Isn't it weird then that all of us go through the same stress of examinations at the 10th and or 12th standard level? Now, it's very strange, right? All of us have to go through the same stress. So then the question arises that how reliable do you think these IQ tests are? Correct. Since ages, it was believed by a majority of people that intelligence is genetic, IQ tests are accurate, and an individual's IQ is not affected by living conditions, nurture, or the environment. IQ differences between the races were also genetic, and outside influences, whether it is educational or otherwise, did not affect the IQ of a person. But so then, what is the answer to this question? IQ tests can provide a function, but the score should not be used as a defining factor of complete intelligence. These tests can be a predictor of your future success, but it is not a guarantee. I repeat, these tests, the results of these tests may predict your future success, but not a guarantee. All right. So then, let's do one small activity. So then, as intelligence defined with different words, so let's do one activity. You all have your books and your pens, right? There are 16 numbers in the box below. Fine. Now, what you have to do is divide them into 4 blocks. You make that rectangle in your box, copy down the numbers, and divide them into 4 blocks so that every block contains the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, I said blocks, only 4 blocks. Come on, get started. I give you 2 minutes for this. Copy these 16 numbers. Quickly draw the box in your book. And then try dividing them into 4 blocks. Remember, every block should contain 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. I've changed my speaker phones. Thank you.
Much better.
Please let me know if there is any problem, right? Yeah,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I think somebody's raised their hand. I think they must have finished.
Ma'am, could you switch on your video, please?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is the answer to this. This is the answer to this. And let me tell you, let me know how many of them have got it right. Truthfully, please be honest. Please be very honest. If you have got it right, just type in your chat that I am right.
There are many people who are saying me.
All right. All right. Fine. All right. Now we go to the next task. Let us go to the next task. Yes. Now this is the next task. Draw as many circles as you can. You have to draw a circle. Okay. Now, once you draw a circle, design something with it. For example, once you could make a circle and make a sun. Make another circle and make something else. Make a third circle, make something else. Quickly, you just get 1 minute for this. I'm setting a timer. Yeah? Just 1 minute. And let me know how many things you all have done. Write the things you have drawn in the chat box and also see what others have drawn, whereas you have missed out. Quickly. Ma'am, there are some participants who are raising hands. Please let me know what the problem is. All right?
Yes.
Yeah.
People have started drawing floral designs, flower, chapati, Olympic sign, pen, phone, orange, donut,
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
season ball, clock, pizza,
Yeah.
a basketball, jalebi, laddu.
All right. That's interesting. Jalebi. I never thought of a jalebi, when with a circle. All right. That's interesting.
a table fan, tennis ball ring, sunflower, coin, bangles.
All right. Can we stop? And now tell me how many maximum could you do it? Just type the number. How many maximum could you do?
6, 4, 3, 8, 9,
All right.
12, 15.
Oh, 12, 15. That's so those people I think are very creative with their drawing skills. Oh, that's great. Fine. So here is Howard Gardner. Okay. And here, this man is a psychologist and educator at a university, and he outlined his theory in his, in his book Frames of Mind in 1983. And here he, all of a sudden, he came with a different with different kinds of intelligences, and he spoke about multiple intelligences. He said that what is IQ? It's just a few people who have that very high IQ. But then that does not mean that people are not intelligent. Intelligent people may be intelligent in different ways. In different people may have different abilities. Not all can sing like Lata Mangeshkar, and not all can play good cricket like Dhoni or Sachin, and not everybody can act like Amitabh and your favorite whoever maybe. So different abilities people have. That does not mean that they are not intelligent. So those intelligences also have to be considered. They have to be considered by teachers, they have to be considered by parents, they have to be considered by your peer group, your friends. And there's nothing to be there's nothing to feel bad about, that oh, I'm not intelligent, and I don't get 90% marks, and I can't do well in exams. It may be you may have a special different kind of ability. And so Gardner says that Howard Gardner says that every person has different kinds of intelligences, and many intelligences. It's not only one kind of intelligence, but two, three, four, five different kinds of intelligences. But we don't see them, we don't visualize them. It is only because we do not get the opportunity to project ourselves. We do not get the opportunity to develop those intelligences that we fall short of it, or people do not recognize us. So here, uh, let's today what we are going to see is, one after the other, we're going to see these intelligences, and we're going to mark ourselves. So at the end of the session, you will also know which are the intelligences in which you are good at, or which are the intelligences that you possess. Then probably once you are clear with those interests that you have, those abilities that you have, the intelligences that you have, you may be able to develop those intelligences. See, many a times we ourselves are unaware. Maybe we've gone for a party, and at that party somebody tells you you're playing a game, and you get a punishment saying that okay, dance karke dikhao, या गाना गा के दिखाओ. And then suddenly you sing, and then everybody says, oh wow, what a lovely voice you have, or you sing so well. That is the time when you realize that yeah, probably yes, I can sing well, I can dance well. Oh, and at times maybe you've just taken a you've just participated in a competition in a society, or in a club, or in an organization, and then everybody comes praising you for your craft work, or your salad dressing, or whatever you've done, maybe flower arrangement. And then that is the time when you come to know that you're so creative. My god, you have such wonderful abilities. So we realize that much all of a sudden at times, and some of us do not realize that at all for our lifetime. And that is where we lose out on developing our intelligences, um, nurturing them, taking special training for them. And you if we take those opportunities to train ourselves, to develop those intelligences, to develop these skills and abilities in us and cater to our potential, then definitely we would also achieve success. Do you think if Sachin would not have trained himself for cricket, he would have just, reached his targets without training? No, definitely not. All these intelligent people, or all these people who have, done well in their field of work, have um, went have gone through rigorous coaching, and that is where Howard Gardner's theory stands true. And there are people, of course, there are critics who say that no, this is not right. There is something that is IQ, and that is what we need to understand. But I think in the field of education, in the field of knowledge, this theory of multiple intelligences has really become popular, and many schools, they do make their lesson planning, they do make their plans and organize their curriculum based on multiple intelligences, where students with different potentialities, different capacities, different abilities are catered to, and they nurture themselves and do well in their field or area or different aspects. All right. So this is Howard Gardner, and in his book Frames of Mind, he has given the theory of multiple intelligence. Now, before I tell you all what these different intelligences are, see, in the beginning, even Gardner came up with 7 different kinds of intelligences. But over the years, he on after doing a lot of research, and after adding on and on to the what do you say, group of abilities, he has developed 2 more types of intelligences, and overall he has now come up with 9 different kinds of intelligences, and those different 9 kinds of intelligences is what we're going to study today. That's what we are going to know today, and that's what we're going to measure ourselves on. All right. So before I begin with the first kind of intelligence, again, I would request all of you all to draw a box in your notebooks in the following manner. I'll just show you the this is a box that I would this is the format that I want you all to draw. On the top, if you see, I have drawn 10 different columns. In the first column, you will write 1 to 10, because we have 10 statements for every intelligence. 10 statements for every intelligence, and 9 columns, 9 sections, because we have 9 intelligences, as I said, 9 sections. So let us just write S1, S2, S3, S4 and draw this box. So it will be very easy for you all to mark yourself. Okay, you have to mark yourself. So please draw this format in your book. I give you another 2 minutes for it. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it fine? I'm not using my speakers anymore. So is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
All right. All right. Yeah. Fine. I think you all must be ready with your box. Yes? Just raise your hand if you finish drawing the box, because this box is very important for us to achieve the purpose of this session. Unless you're ready with the box, I will not begin. Please let me know if there is any issue with the audio, okay?
It's clear now, ma'am. No issue.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, I think I can continue. Now this square does not take time. By listening to me also, you could understand. So our first type of intelligence is linguistic intelligence. Okay, linguistic intelligence. Now, as the name suggests, language. It's your ability to communicate with people, use language in different forms. It could be oral, it could be written, it could be in different ways, communicating in different ways, using language very effectively. Fine. So Gardner says that Gardner calls such people who have linguistic intelligence as word smart. So he's a word smart person. So word smart person means you can manipulate your words in a very effective manner, and you can use your words, manipulate your words whenever you want. You can play with language, and it is the capacity of to use language, probably your native language or perhaps other languages also, to express what's on your mind and to understand other people. So a person with linguistic intelligence can understand words and manipulate the structure of language. Many of you all must have also, I think, being students, you all have done a lot of projects, perhaps, your maybe some action research projects, or some projects which, you all were asked to check your, what do you say, plagiarism. And when you do your plagiarism checks, then you say, oh, it is 90% plagiarized, because you just copy paste from different websites and then make a project report. So here, uh, probably if you possess that in linguistic intelligence, you are able to manipulate the structure of the sentences that you pick up from different websites. You are able to use synonyms. You are able to turn the active voice into the passive voice, and then change the structure of the sentence, and then it becomes 100% unique. So that's very interesting. Yes, that becomes very interesting. So person with linguistic intelligence is a highly developed communication skills, including writing, speaking, storytelling. They know and correctly use rules of grammar. They enjoy reading, they enjoy writing, they enjoy speaking. They have a very large vocabulary, and perhaps such people go into professions like journalism, or maybe news readers, or maybe teachers, or lawyers, where they really have to manipulate their words, use different, structures, language structures, and need to have excellent communication skills. So here, this is all about linguistic intelligence. So linguistic intelligence, let's try and check um, how much of linguistic intelligence we have. Okay, we'll see that over the end. But now, when I present to you the test, what you have to do is you have to mark 0 or 1. Just read the sentences and mark 0 or 1 in the table that you have drawn. Now, in the table that you have drawn, you will just write 0 or 1. If it is applicable to you, you will write 1. If it is not applicable to you, you write 0. Sometimes, if you are in a doubt that sometimes yes, sometimes no, just give a simple 0. Okay, what you think, which side more it favors? If it favors, if you feel that yes, it is too much like me, I would love to do this. I am not doing it, but I would love to do this. So then you can write 1, but otherwise 0. Fine. So the first sentence says, foreign languages interest me. Write 0 or 1 in your books. You have to become active and just mark 0 or 1 in section 1. Now this is section 1. All right. This is section 1. So in the column section 1, you just write 0 or 1. I enjoy reading books, magazines, and websites. I keep a journal. Write 0 or 1. I like to solve word puzzles like crosswords or jumbles. They are enjoyable. I enjoy doing them. I enjoy taking notes and it helps me to remember and understand. I faithfully contact friends through letters or email. It is easy for me to explain my ideas to others. I write for pleasure. Puns, anagrams, spoonerisms are fun. Now, these puns and anagrams, they're all word play, okay? Or figures of speech that you could call them. I enjoy public speaking and participating in debates. Hope everybody has marked 0, 1, 0, 1. Now just total up your score. 4 marks, 5 marks, 7 marks, 9 marks, 8 marks. Total up your score and just keep it aside. Below there's a column for total. So just write your total marks out there. You know, people with linguistic intelligence are very helpful at times. Many times what happens is, you want to tell somebody something and you're not able to. When you say that बोलना है यार लेकिन कैसे बोलूं, it's so difficult, क्या शब्द use करूं, especially when you have to convince somebody or when you have to persuade somebody to do something, or when you have to convey your message where you want to convey it but you don't want to say it yourself, then you feel you will have to usko बुरा लग जाएगा तो मैं क्या करूंगी, or कैसे बताऊं. So when you are in all such kind of conflicts, you would really want somebody who has linguistic intelligence to put forth your message at the same time, not offend anybody, not hurt anybody with your words, and you feel that, okay, fine, at least my message is put across. So you look out for somebody who will, put your message across. So a person with linguistic intelligence is very helpful at times. Probably when you want to, in college, especially in colleges, when you want to, give your message to the head of the department, or you want to give your message to the principal, and there's something wrong that's going on and you're not able to say. So then at that time, people with linguistic intelligence would come and help you. Think of your friends who have this kind of intelligence, and it would really, you would think, हाँ ऐसा भी कुछ होता है, सही है, it's right. Yeah, all of you, see, most of us may speak very fluently. It is not only fluent speaking. Most of us may speak fluently, but are we able to manipulate words? Are we able to change the structure of sentences? Are we able to, put across our ideas whenever it is needed? See, probably there's a death in our family, or some close friend. Maybe that friend is very close to you, but yet you become hesitant to approach that person when there is some mishappening or death. Then at that time you think, I don't know how to communicate. Yeah, I'm at a loss of words. How do I communicate? So it is that time when you use your linguistic intelligence. Suppose if you have to author a book, if you have to write beautiful poems, if you have to share things for your magazines, each one of us is not able to compose poems. Each one of us is not able to write good essays or compositions, or write good letters. Yeah. So probably even if we are not, if we are good at our grammatical, structures, we are good at handwriting is beautiful, but at times we do not, we do not train ourselves to use that kind of intelligence that we have. So that is all about linguistic intelligence. I think I can proceed further if you all have finished this type of this marking. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, they are finished.
Yes. All right. Now the second one is logical mathematical intelligence. Yeah. Am I audible now? Is it clear? Is my voice very clear now?
Little more, ma'am. It's clear, but a little more.
Yeah, I see some participants still raising hands. What are the doubts? I don't know. All right. So this is logical mathematical intelligence, and most of us, I don't know whether you have it, but I have it, and I have that math phobia. Right from my childhood, I the maths, even though I have passed in all my mathematical exams because of training and because of this, I did my doctorate, I did my PhD, and there were people, my my guides, my mentors, who guided me so well that I was able to pass on all the tests and be able to use statistics and everything. But yet what happens is, sometimes you do have that math fear. Even now, if you tell me how much is 7 plus 15, so I will just use on my fingertips and I will have to count like this. Even if I'm able to do it mentally, I will not, because that is the phobia that I have. It is that my logical mathematical intelligence is not developed. I have that block in my mind, where I feel I lack too much in this kind of intelligence. So what is this intelligence? People with logical mathematical intelligence have the capacity to use numbers effectively. They are able to reason out well. Okay. And someone who has this kind of intelligence is able to see cause and effect really well. uh, Also, they are able to identify a problem and solve it right there on the spot. Okay. They do not, they can do it mentally. They do not need a paper, a pen, a calculator, a mobile phone. How many of us, when we go shopping, we really need to calculate? We use the calculator that is there on our mobile phones, and we start calculating and trying and finding out, oh, kitna ho jayega, I don't know. Mental math is become very difficult for some. It becomes very difficult for some of us, and some of us it's like, in a couple of minutes we can just solve everything. So people with this kind of intelligence, they use their reasoning skills, they love experimentation, questioning, figuring out logical puzzles, calculations. All this is possible for them. So today, most of you all will find out whether you all are good at this kind of mathematical intelligence and logic. As I said, my scores come very low as far as logical mathematical intelligence is concerned. So let's proceed. Now again, it's time for you to do section 2. This is section 2, the first statement that talks about, I am known for being neat and orderly. Okay, I like everything to be organized. I want everything in its place, because organization, neatly kept everything. In my laptop also, I have different folders where everything is organized properly on my desktop, on my laptop. In my mobile also, I have different folders for everything. I'm very organized. So that is what I mean by being neat and orderly. Okay, my cupboard is very well organized. So people with logical, mathematical intelligence, they would like everything to be neat and orderly. Okay, be very honest when you're writing 0 or 1, because no, you're not going to share the scores with others. So it's only for you to know. So be honest, and mark 0 or 1 accordingly. If it applies to you, you write 1. If it does not apply to you, you write a 0. Second, step by step directions are a big help. You know, like you do your algebra, like you do your mathematics sums, like you do your algorithms, you have step by step directions that are given, right? So those step by step directions are very helpful to you, not only while solving sums, but maybe, you know, when you are asking for directions for doing anything, you want everything step by step written down. Somebody will just tell you like that, you will not agree. You want those directions written down. You want those directions told to you all, shared with you all, step by step. Problem solving comes very easily to me. That is the third statement. Problem solving, I can solve any sort of problems that you give me, and I do it with interest. And many times there are some word problems which I don't even want to look at. Oh my god, again there's maths that's going to be involved in this, and I don't want to go look into that. If there are puzzles, if there are problems, I don't want to look into it. I get easily frustrated with disorganized people. People who are disorganized, I get irritated with them, I get frustrated with them. If yes, you put a 1. If no, you put a 0. Okay, I can complete calculations quickly in my head. I can do mental mathematics very fast. Just put 0 or 1. Logic puzzles are fun. I enjoy solving puzzles, and where I have to, apply my logic or my reasoning skill. I can't begin an assignment until I have all my ducks in a row. Now, when I say all my ducks in a row, that means if I have to do an assignment, I need everything in front of me first. I will not begin writing my assignment, or I will not start doing my assignment unless I have all my things placed in front of me. They are all organized in front of me, and then I don't have to hunt for anything while doing it. So everything has to be neat and tidy before I begin. So that's 7th point. 8th point is structure is a good thing. Structure, everything should have a structure. There should be nothing unstructured. People, logical. See, creative people who, love painting and drawing and, those kind of people would not love structure. Of course, structure is important for them also. I'm not saying no, but they would try and make something very abstract, and that abstract thing is also very fine for them. If you've seen paintings, if you've been to a painting exhibition at times, you must have seen paintings which, probably only if you are a painter or if you are that creative person, you will be able to make sense of that painting. And it may be selling for lakhs and thousands of rupees. Whereas, you may, if you do not have that kind of sense or that kind of intelligence to interpret that painting, you would say, what is this? There's no structure, there's nothing concrete in it, I can't understand. Or ऐसी abstract चीजों के लिए इतने पैसे? So, you may feel that, oh, that's really very bad. Yeah. So you may not enjoy that kind of thing. 9th one is, I enjoy troubleshooting something that isn't working properly. Something that is not working properly, I try and troubleshoot. I open it up, I check what is wrong, I fix it up again, and I make things proper, or make things clear. So that is enjoying troubleshooting. Okay. something that isn't working properly. That's the ninth statement. And the 10th statement that goes, things have to make sense to me or I am dissatisfied. Now, if whatever I am saying today also, if it does not make sense to you, you are going to be dissatisfied. That's very clear. All right. So things have to make sense to you, or it may be, as I just gave you an example of a painting or anything that you have. Things have to make sense to me, or I am dissatisfied. So I think all of you have marked again 0 and 1, 0 and 1. That's done. Shall we proceed? You could just total up your score right below. Some of you have got, some of you must have got less than linguistic. Some of you must have got more than linguistic. Some of you must have got equal. Yeah. So you could just type in your chat done so that we know that it's we can proceed. So let's proceed to the third one. Fine. Shall we?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Now, the third type of intelligence that Gardner proposed is the spatial intelligence. It's called it's the spatial intelligence that's all about space. How many of you have experienced that once you sit in a rickshaw, in an auto rickshaw, and say, "Bhaiya, left mein le lo, left mein," and you're showing your right hand. You're showing your right hand. You say, "Left le lo, left," and then bhaiya is saying, "Arey, dikha rahe ho right hand or bol rahe ho left hand." So it's like very weird, right? So people, we don't have the kind of direction, a sense of direction, or when we have to look into space, we are not able to judge ourselves. So that is all about spatial intelligence. Huh? That is spatial intelligence that we talk about. So what is spatial intelligence? It is the brain's ability to perceive and interpret visual stimuli. Okay, stimulus that has some visuals in it. Okay, or maybe architects, for example, architects, when they see the piece of land, they construction, if you've gone to construction sites, or if you've seen people who were students who were from architecture must have experienced this. If you go to construction sites and you see that site and you say, हाँ इधर तो इतने फ्लैट्स की बिल्डिंग आराम से बन सकती है, इसमें ये भी हो सकता है, इसमें वो भी हो सकता है, and then finally you are like, okay, how do you know, how do you judge? So that those kind of people have spatial intelligence. Those are pilots, or the navy people who have to go on ship and there are no roads, and you do have to have, of course you have the compass, or you have technology which helps you to gauge the direction, but you yourself also need to have that kind of intelligence to be able to interpret those stimulus that are being presented to you, okay? So in other words, it's how our minds process what we see. Although not very recognized, spatial intelligence is very important in the arts and in everyday life. Even in arts, when you, as an suppose architecture students will know this very well, when you plot map on or a diagram on a sheet of paper, A4 size or A6 size, and then you try and find out कहाँ क्या बैठ रहा है, ये इतना बड़ा होना चाहिए, इतना नहीं होना चाहिए. Or when you draw something, you see many times human figures, especially human figures. How many of you can draw human figures very well? It's a proportion that you need to, so that's a visual stimulus. We are not able to proportionate, and it becomes the figure that we draw. Many times, if we are not good at drawing, if we do not possess this kind of spatial intelligence, we are not able to draw something very proportionately, and then it becomes very weird, right? So that is what is spatial intelligence. So let's take a test of spatial intelligence now. Yeah. The first statement here. Now, this is section 3. Remember, this is section 3. Yeah. This is section 3. I will just take a moment. I'll start my video in a moment. Please give me 1 minute. The first statement here goes, rearranging a room and redecorating are fun for me. You know, many times girls, especially girls, they do not like the usual arrangement in the houses. They will, most of them, or some of them at least, will keep on rearranging the room. At times they would change change the place of the sofa, they would change the place of their cupboard, they would change the place of their bed, and they will give a different look to the living room or to their bedroom. So many times people love rearranging rooms. So so that's a liking. If you have the kind of intelligence, special intelligence maybe, or if you're able to visualize, you will be able to tell us, or that aesthetic sense if you have, or you will say कि हाँ ऐसे अच्छा लग रहा है और वैसे अच्छा लग रहा है. So every it's not everybody's cup of tea. Everybody would not like that, right? The second statement says, I enjoy creating my works of art. I love drawing. I love to make abstract paintings, and I love to project things like that. So that is what it is, like creating my own works of art. Maybe I prepare a model. Maybe I, make some flower arrangement, and I can make beautiful arrangements. So I can use the space given to me. I can make use of the space given to me beautifully. I remember better using graphic organizers. Now, what are graphic organizers? They are those schematic representations that you see even in your PowerPoint when you make different kinds of organizers. Clip you ready-made art that they have those hierarchies. Yeah, those are graphic organizers. Schematic representations of your content. Many of us, we do learn like that, right? When we have a lot of content, we will try and make what do you say, tabular formats, or tree diagrams, or we may put it into what do you say, concept mapping or mind mapping. All these kind of things are possible if you have this kind of intelligence. So that is graphic organizers. So probably if you visualize things, if you're good at visualizing things with graphic organizers, you have that kind of special intelligence. I enjoy all kinds of entertainment media. Yeah, maybe videos and those 3Ds and the 2Ds, because how do they make that? Ye effect chahiye, wo effect chahiye, and how do they make those things wonderful and very creative for you? It's because they have the intelligence to use the space that has given to you very clearly. Charts, graphs, tables help me interpret data. Okay, data was interpreted with different kinds of charts. I learn better. I learn better when I am able to interpret data or the content that is there with me with the help of charts. See, many times in newspapers or magazines, we have so much of research data and graphs and all. Some of us are able to understand, some of us are not able to interpret. मुझे समझ में नहीं आता है unless I read what is written below that chart. I read something that is written below that graph. I don't understand. So probably I don't have the kind of spatial intelligence to just understand with the help of a graph. And that is why even when we make research reports, we are told, okay, you write the numbers in the table, then you present it in the form of a graph, then you just give a word description. So write your interpretation also. So it's probably in that manner that a person may understand in different ways. Okay. The sixth statement says, a music video can make me more interested in a song. Only if a song is played, I would not love it. But yes, if it is a musical video, because people have used space beautifully. I would love to see that. I can recall things as mental pictures. See, many this if you've attended any memory technique workshops, visualization is a very important technique that helps you to remember or memorize things. When you have to memorize things, you see, from your house, you go to your educational institute every day, right? You may be taking certain stops in between, or you may be pausing at various stations. Yeah, maybe at the gate, then at the turning, then the first right, then the next left. You if you have to give directions to somebody to come to your house or to go to your educational institute or college, then probably some of you are able to do it very well, but some of you will ढंग से direction भी नहीं दे पाती है. So many of our friends get frustrated, when they're coming to the first time, and they would say, "Are, how many times do I have to explain to you how to come?" But you are not able to do that well. Why? Because we lack this kind of intelligence. So reading maps, reading blueprints, most of us are not good at. We don't understand the maps, physical maps, especially the political map, physical maps, especially where you have the landscapes and you have the mountains and the creeks and the waters and the waterfalls and the lakes, and how far it is or how close it is or how lengthy it is. We are not able to interpret. So I'm good. Probably if you are good at it, you put a 1 mark. If you're not good at it, you write 0. Okay. Three-dimensional puzzles are fun because I am able to visualize what will be, how it will look from behind, how it will look from the side, how it will look from this side. So these three-dimensional figures, three-dimensional models are fun for you. So if it is that kind, if you are able to visualize ideas with the help of your mind, you write 1 or you put a 0. That's section 3. Hope you finished section 3, marking section 3. Can we proceed?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
we proceed?
Yes, yes.
All right, all right. The next type of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Now, the figures itself tell you the meaning of this kind of intelligence. Yes, you can see in the figures here you have sports people. Yeah, you have sports people who are doing it, or you have people who dance very well. So, the people who do yoga, people who do go to Zumba, learn Zumba, and they are very good at Zumba classes and aerobics and gymnasts. Those people who use they have the flexibility and they can use their hand and their legs very well for all these kind of skills. They are called the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. It is expertise in using one's whole body to express ideas and feelings. Okay. For examples, you may have acting, dancing, sports, gymnastics, using body language, maybe in when you're using dramatics. Now, dramatics, if you say dramatics, then it also requires linguistic intelligence because you have to communicate with others. But when you're doing damsharaj, what are you doing? You're trying to use your facial expressions, you're trying to use your hands, you're trying to use your legs, you're trying to use your body language. Yeah. So it is the ability to use one's hands to produce or transform things. Maybe sculpture. You've seen a potter who models sculpts the clay and makes different things for you, or modeling, or maybe craftsmen who make beautiful baskets, or make beautiful wall hangings out of shells and conches, or carpenters who use their hands and legs in such a manner. They, of course, they're trained, but they have the kind of intelligence. Even surgeons, I would say surgeons, they also have very high bodily kinesthetic intelligence, because it's the minute things that you do with your fingers or your hands. You say, why we say I want this person only. Of course, when you say surgeons, you also require logic or reasoning skills. You need a lot of intelligence also, because that's you're going to, there are multiple things involved in it. But then even if a person who is very, very knowledgeable cannot operate on anything unless he has that expertise, or unless he has that bodily kinesthetic intelligence to do that thing wonderfully well. So it is the expertise of using your motor skills, your hands, your legs. So it's about, using your um, body in an excellent manner. Yeah. So using a flexibility, how do you dance so well, or how do you act so well, or how do you, an athlete or a gymnast, they're so flexible, they're so adaptable, they can do anything and everything. So some of us do have this bodily kinesthetic intelligence at a very high level. So just let's check. I learn by doing. Now, these are the statements that are what do you say? They cater to your daily activities. I learn by doing. Sometimes, if you do it only, you will know. Like maybe girls must have experienced this very well. Like certain recipes, if you want to try out, you have your mothers who would just use their hands and put some masala, this, and saute everything and just fry or cook everything, and so beautifully, so well, and then the dish is ready and it's yummy. But none of all of us are not able to do that. Rolling chapatis round and beautiful of one size. So that is the kinesthetic intelligence that I use, probably. So I learn by doing. I enjoy making things with my hands. That's the second thing. If it applies to you, you write 1. If it does not apply, you write a 0. I'm repeating again and again so that it keeps striking you and you get the correct scores. The third statement say sports are a part of my life. Okay. Now here also there are certain things. Even if I have that kind of intelligence, it need not be that sports is a part of my life. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you feel that yes, you're good at dancing but not sports. It's fine, because probably you may have been able to do that also well, probably if you would have taken training, or if you would have been trained for that. I use gestures and non-verbal cues when I communicate. When I communicate, I need to have a lot of gestures. Demonstrating is better than explaining. When a teacher demonstrates in front of you, you feel that, oh, you're able to do that very well. So demonstrating works better than explaining for you. So if you are able to understand things only with explanation, then probably you are an audio learner. You are able to learn well. But if you learning by doing is learning through the help of demonstrations, learning by doing it yourself. So that is demonstration. You feel demonstrating is always better than explaining. I love to dance. I like working with tools. I can use any sort of tools very well. Maybe a simple task, just like using a cutter. Say, nahi yaar, if I cut, it's going to go all teda mera. Or if I use a scissor, I'm not able to cut well. But think of those tailors who cuts their cloth so perfectly well. And even with a short piece of cloth, they are able to cut and give proper shape to it. People with bodily kinesthetic intelligence, they are good at tailoring, they are good at craft work. Okay, so they love working with tools. Inactivity can make me more tired than being very busy. So if people with kinesthetic intelligence, they would always want to be on the go. They would always want to be on the go. They would not they would not they would not want to sit idle. They always want to do something. So they cannot just sit quietly. They become a little hyper, and say hyperactivity kind of a person. So they're not tired with activity, but they are tired sitting alone, sitting like that. Hands-on activities are fun for them, and they live a very active lifestyle. We had a principal in our school, who would always be on the go, and we would call him principal on the wheels, because he would always be on the go. He would never be in his office just working on his things, administration, but He would always go to different classes. He would meet students. He would meet them. He would talk to them, and he would always be moving around. And he was so active and movement. So people, are very active. If they have this kind of intelligence, they would want people to be active. They get very angry and frustrated or irritated if they see people who are lazy and just want to lie down and don't do anything. So, of course, that's also not bad if you are good at other things. But uh, physical activity, that is what we're talking about. So, physical, if kinesthetic intelligence is your forte, you would love to be active. Yeah. I think you must have finished marking. So, let's proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The next type of intelligence is musical intelligence. And the moment I say musical intelligence, you uh, do have many names coming to your mind, right? All your favorite singers and all your favorite musicians and all your favorite ghazal singers and your rap music artists, all these people. So all these people have musical intelligence, because with any words that are given to you, they would they would um, they would have this kind of musical intelligence. So what is musical intelligence? It's being able to distinguish sounds around you, that you have the ability to make your own melodies. Even if you are only singing a song or making music, you are using your music intelligence. So people with this kind of intelligence are able to perceive, are able to discriminate, are able to transform, are able to express all kinds of musical forms. Okay. So here is our section. Sorry. I easily pick up on patterns. Yeah. This is section 5, right? Section 5. I hope all of you all are marking for section 5. I easily pick up on patterns. I can see different patterns in music. I can see different patterns in sound. I focus on noise and sounds. I can discriminate between different sounds. I can discriminate between the sounds of birds, of animals, of musical instruments. How many of us are able to discriminate between sounds of different musical instruments? Moving to a beat is very easy for me. I enjoy making music. That's the fourth one. Just quickly mark 0101. I think I'll have to hurry because there's lots to do now. We're still on section 5 and I've finished 9 more, right? 4 more. Okay. I respond to the rhythm of poetry. I remember things by putting them in a rhyme. Concentration is difficult for me if there is background noise. Listening to sounds in nature can be very relaxing. Musicals are more engaging to me than dramatic plays. Remembering song lyrics is easy for me. Have you marked? This is something that is very simple to understand, so I don't think I need to give any more explanation for this. Let us move on to the next one. Have you all finished marking? Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The next is interpersonal intelligence. That's very, very important for our life. Very important. Interpersonal, your intelligence to communicate with people. So here, see, as I said, people with linguistic intelligence, you may be very fluent, you may have excellent communication skills, but yet many a times you may not have the kind of interpersonal intelligence where you can make friends with anybody. You can adjust with anybody, you can adapt with anybody. So this is the kind of interpersonal intelligence that we're talking about. It is called people smart. Okay, music smart, word smart. So this is people smart. Okay, interpersonal intelligent people, they enjoy giving feedback to their teachers, they enjoy giving feedback to their classmates, They understand others' feelings very well. They are very good at person-to-person communication. They they are open to receiving feedback also. They love doing group projects, working in groups. Okay, they love creating group rules and sensing the motives of others, or acting in a play because it's a group activity again. Then they love creating WhatsApp groups and phone buddies for their homework, all those kind of things. So let's see if you have that kind of interpersonal intelligence. So just mark yourself quickly. This is section 6, I suppose, right? Yeah. I learn best interacting with others. I enjoy informal chat and serious discussion. The more, the merrier. I always feel the more the merrier in a party, or if you're going out with friends, you will always want more friends. If you're going for a picnic also, you would want more friends. And there are people who say, नहीं यार क्यों चाहिए सब, दो चार जन, हम लोग चार जन काफी हैं, हम लोग पांच जन काफी हैं. So have you come across people like this? So they don't have that kind of interpersonal intelligence, whereas you feel that, oh, there are more friends, it's merrier. I'm more happy when there are more people around. I often serve as a leader among peers and colleagues. I value relationships more than ideas or accomplishments. Study groups are very productive for me. I am a team player. I love working in teams. I love playing in teams. And there are people who would want to be solo. They would want to be alone. So see here, you see the difference. Friends are important to me. I belong to more than 3 clubs or more than 3 organizations. Such people who have, interpersonal intelligence, they would want to be a member of many clubs or organizations, maybe in their college or maybe outside their college, in their community, maybe, the Inner Wheel Club, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the community clubs, the religious clubs. So many different organizations and many different clubs they would want to join. They would want to join NGOs. They would want to do many different things. They dislike working alone. Yeah. So if that's marked, we proceed to the next one. And the next one is intrapersonal. It's just opposite to interpersonal. It's just opposite to interpersonal. Intrapersonal intelligence is looking into the mirror. Do I know myself? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Now I have a small task here for you. I have written down my name, Bhavna. My name is Bhavna, and I've written that. And I have also written what I am, I feel I am, and what I want to be. Okay. Like suppose B stands for beautiful. I feel I'm beautiful, but I am not very brave. I want to be brave. I'm very helpful, but I think I want to be a little more happier. I'm active, but I want to be articulate. So these are all positive traits, positive traits about myself. And these are the positive traits that I would want to develop in me. Okay. I am vibrant, but I want to be victorious. I am nice, but I want to be noble. I am affectionate, but I want to be adorable. Some people may not like me because I am disciplined, or I want discipline, or I follow my principles. So could you write your name like this and, do this task? Let me see how many of you know yourselves very well. Just one minute I'll give you all. 1 minute. Quickly. Describe yourself with positive adjectives. Positive adjectives. Please remember positive adjectives. I want your strengths. I want your strengths. And what you would want to be. And what you would want to be. Please write that also. I am not brave, as I said, but I want to be brave. I want to be a little more happier. I want to be a little more expressive. So that is articulate. That's fun. You may take a little time. Just, think. Probably each one of us should know our strengths and should know. This took me at least 5-10 minutes to think about myself. Am I really like that? Yes, I am. Okay, so that's a fun activity. I think some of you have already finished. I see students raising their hands. So some of you have already finished. That's wonderful. One or two of y'all could just chat and show what you've written. So probably with your name you could write it. That would be interesting. Akshay has raised hands, so I think Akshay has finished. Akshay, could you tell us what you've written out of your name? Akshay. All right. The others may take a little time to think and have fun with this activity a little later. Probably once we finish, I think I will have to proceed. I will not be able to give you all a lot of time because some of you may take time to write this. So I proceed with the next with this intelligence, which says that intrapersonal intelligence is the capacity to be self-aware, to know my inner feelings. Many times we all have feelings, but we don't know what our feelings are. Whether I am happy, whether I am anxious, whether I am scared, whether I am upset, whether I'm depressed. I really am not able to judge my feelings, or what are my values in life, what are my beliefs in life, what do I think about the social issues, what do I think about um, people around me. So I'm not very aware about this. So I'm not able to judge my own strengths, my own weaknesses, my inner moods, my intentions, my motivations. A person who knows all this very clearly has the capacity of self discipline, self understanding, has very high self esteem. You know, so intrapersonal intelligence is essentially how well you know yourself. Okay, so let's mark ourselves. My attitude affects how I learn. Many times my positive, I feel, oh, I'm never going to be able to learn this. So my positivity, my negative attitude, I have a negative attitude, or I have a positive attitude. I like to be involved in causes that help others. I'm keenly aware of my moral beliefs. I learn best when I have an emotional attachment to the subject. Some subject I may have an emotional attachment. I would love reading that subject. So if I am emotionally attached to the subject, I learn very well. Fairness is important to me. I don't like if um, injustice is done to me. So I get very angry when there is injustice. Some people may feel, hey, छोड़ना है यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? So do you have that kind of attitude? Or is fairness really very important for you? Do you want to fight for it? Do you ever do that? So very honestly, please mark 0 and 1. As I said, we're not going to share the scores here. It's only for your understanding. So please be very honest when you're marking. Okay. Social justice issues interest me. Working alone can be just as productive as working in a group. So if you know yourself and if you have that kind of intrapersonal intelligence, you don't mind staying alone, you don't mind working alone, because you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and you are able to make it up for that. When I believe in something, I give more effort towards it. I'm willing to protest or sign a petition to right or wrong. So I'm always standing up. If something goes wrong, I'm always there to join the group to protest. So am I willing to do that, or I'm not willing to do that? Just mark 0 or 1 and just calculate your score. We proceed. Yeah. Now this is naturalistic intelligence. This is section 8. Naturalistic intelligence. Some people you may find amazing. They can identify all types of trees, they can identify all types of flowers, they can identify all different animals, they can identify birds around them, they can identify the different kinds of leaves. I don't think all students who have learned biology or zoology are also able to do that. They may be in that profession, but yet people may not be able to may not be having that kind of intelligence. They are just by chance in that profession probably, but yes, majority of them are in that profession because they have naturalistic intelligence. So people with naturalistic intelligence, they are able to observe, understand, and organize patterns in the natural environment. They love collecting feathers, leaves, flowers. They love to work with scientific gadgets like telescope, microscope, etc. They love to do environmental related activities like recycling, composting, learning about nature, visiting various natural locations, okay, where they can mingle with nature, all those kind of things. So let's check our naturalistic intelligence. You will mark 1 if you enjoy categorizing things by common traits. The common qualities that things have. So these are mammals, these are vertebrates, these are invertebrates, these are this group of insects. This is a virus, and this is a bacteria. And if you enjoy categorizing things on basis of things that are in nature, right, 1 or 0. Ecological issues, if they become very important to you, if you are a environmentalist, and if you issues in the environment or ecological issues become very important to you, are very important to you. Classification helps me make sense of new data. I have to, whatever data I have from the environment also, I love to classify what does this now. The recent example of COVID-19, so the coronavirus, what kind of virus is it, what is it, what are the researches that are going to happen, what are the people, what are the doctors suggesting about it. If you are curious to know more about this, then probably you have this kind of intelligence. I enjoy working in a garden. I believe preserving our national parks is important. That's only a belief. I'm not saying you go and preserve, okay? Putting things in hierarchies makes sense to me. I want to put everything in a group. I want to arrange everything in a hierarchy. Animals are more important. Animals are important in my life. Some of us would not love to be with animals. If a dog also is coming across on your way, you may just shoo it off. And some of you may want to take the dog. You want to caress. You want to, you would love pets. My home has a recycling system in place. So you may have something like, you may have different dustbins for different kinds of waste. You may want to recycle some of it. You may want to make compost. So that is a recycling system in the house. I enjoy studying biology, botany, zoology. I pick up on subtle differences in meaning. See, if you are in that field, that does not mean that you enjoy studying. Probably you are there by chance, as I said. So be truthful when you write 0 or 1. If you want to get your exact strength or exact that does not mean that if you are a biology student, you will enjoy studying that. Or if you are a botany student, you enjoy doing that, right? So think of more. So that's about your naturalistic intelligence. And our next type of intelligence is existential intelligence. This is the last and the 9th type of intelligence that Howard Gardner has given us. And he says that student searches for the larger truth, loves to pose and ponder questions of life, death. Why do I exist? What is the purpose of my life? Why did I come on this earth? Or, when you watch Ramayana and when you watch Mahabharata and you say, Arjun ne phir se janam kyun liya tha? Or why did Ram come in? So it is like, they came in, they took life as a human being for a purpose. So you may also think that what is my purpose of life? People like, big saints, or people like people with very high spirituality, or may have this kind of intelligence. Even we possess. It's not that we don't possess, but I just give you to give you a few examples, like Sri Ravi Shankar, or you have Sadhguru, or you have Morari Bapu, or you have all those gurus who probably are able to think and give logic or give answers to probably every question that we have in our life. Every question that we have in our life. So that is the kind of existential intelligence that we are talking about. So let's see if we have that kind of existential intelligence. So probably we seek for meaningful learning. We can make connections. We can synthesize ideas, combine ideas. We can have a strong bond between our family and our friends. Okay, we have a sense of belonging to the global community, tend to look at information relative to the context. So all this is about spiritual intelligence, or what do you say, existential intelligence. Okay, so let's just mark quickly 0101. This is section 9, and in a minute you will have your scores and you will know which intelligences you all are good at, or what are your strengths today. It is important to see my role in the big picture of things. I enjoy discussing questions about life. रीबर्थ होता है कि नहीं होता है, पुनर्जन्म में क्या होता है. So if you are curious to know about all that, probably yes, 1 or 0. Religion is important to me. I enjoy viewing artwork. Relaxation and meditation exercises are rewarding to me. You very often, there are people who do meditation and relaxation exercise, mindfulness, very on a regular basis. People who practice mindfulness on a regular basis have this kind of, existential intelligence. They develop existential intelligence through this, because they are able to connect. That is spirituality, probably they develop that kind of spirituality in them. I like traveling to and visit inspiring places. I enjoy reading philosophers, philosophy and philosophers and what they say. Some of them find philosophy very, very interesting. So maybe Gandhian philosophy or Tagore's philosophy, or you Vivekanand's philosophy. You would love reading these kind of philosophers. Learning new things is easier when I see this real world. I wonder if there are other forms of intelligent life in the universe. It is important for me to feel connected to people, ideas, and beliefs. Now, if you have your scores ready, in the chat box, you could just type what are your strengths. Just, you could just write 2 or 3 strengths where you have got very high scores. Just type in the chat box and find out. Now, section 1 was verbal strength. 2, just write your scores and match where you have got high scores. And probably those high scores are your abilities, is the potential that you have. Probably with training, with coaching, or different ways of developing that strength, you could succeed in that area. Instead of raising hand, probably I would prefer you all, putting in chats and telling me, ma'am, if you could just read out if some of them have mentioned their strengths. I would love to know that.
Yes, they have written musical, logical, intrapersonal, naturalistic, bodily, kinesthetic.
Just identify
verbal.
3. Yeah, each one of you, I request you all to just identify 3 of your highest. 3 of your highest scores. Not all. Please do not type all. Please do not type all. Right? Identify only 3 of your highest strengths.
All of them are doing it, all 3.
All right, all right. So what is the common trend that you see in most of them?
Intrapersonal and naturalistic.
Oh, that's great. Naturalistic and intrapersonal. That's that's a different answer that I'm getting. That's a different answer that I'm getting.
Even musical is common.
Okay, all right. Interesting. None of them with logical?
Some of them.
Okay.
Very few.
All right. Kinesthetic? What about kinesthetic?
Some of them.
Fine. So
one person with mathematical.
Oh, that's great. That person may be really good at that logical strength. Section 2. Wow, that's great. All right, all right. We can stop at this. We can stop the chats now. Now, what I want you all to understand one more thing is, people with high IQ levels may do well in their studies, in their academics. They may get very high percentage. They may, excel. They may, in their schools, their colleges, they may get admissions in reputed institutions, and they may get training and then succeed further. But then when you join your careers, when you join your workplaces, at times you find that these people are not very satisfied, Now, what is the reason for that? There are people who join particular careers, they've done so well, they've excelled in their schools, they've excelled in their colleges, and when they join their careers or their workplaces, they are not able to do well there. Probably it is because we lack in our interpersonal and our intrapersonal strength. So all of us who have today realized that I need to work upon my intrapersonal strength. Now, suppose if you have got low scores on your intrapersonal strength, I would suggest that you work on those strengths and try and develop those strengths, because there is something that is called as EI, that is called emotional intelligence. Now, there was this person, okay, this is just to remember, you can strengthen each intelligence. It was just, this inventory is just a snapshot, it can change. Okay, next time if you take this inventory, something like this, a multiple intelligence inventory, it may change a little bit here and there, and it is also meant to empower us, not to label us. This is what I wanted to tell you all. So don't take this as a guarantee, but yes, I was talking about this emotional intelligence. Now, there are these two people, these two psychologists or professors, American professors, Dr. John Mayer and Dr. Peter Salovey, who came up with the theory of emotional intelligence. After this multiple intelligence, when we heard about all this, they said that there is something called as emotional intelligence, which comprises of, it is nothing, this is not a new concept, but it comprises of interpersonal skills as well as intrapersonal. So interpersonal and intrapersonal together make up this, and your existential intelligence perhaps makes up this emotional intelligence. And he said, just as you have IQ for intelligent quotient, you also have EQ. Okay. And then there came Dr. Daniel Goleman, who worked on their theory, and he made this very, very popular. This is Dr. Daniel Goleman, and he made this very, very popular, this theory, and he wrote a book in 1995. He wrote a book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. He says that EQ, okay, is more important than IQ, because if you have emotional intelligence, then only you will be able to cope up with the difficulties that you face in life, or the complex situations that you will be able to face in life. Okay, so he defined emotional intelligence as a cluster of traits or abilities that are related to the emotional side of our life. Okay, he said that it is our ability to use our emotions to help us solve problems and live a more effective life. We are able to cope up with stress if we have emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is nothing but emotions plus intelligence. Emotions plus intelligence, that is emotional intelligence. So we all need to have balanced emotions with us. Okay, now we all experience these kind of emotions. Yeah, we are afraid at times, we are scared at times, we are tensed, we are confused. But how many of us really are able to identify, know our own emotions? At times I am not able to recognize my feelings. मुझे पता ही नहीं चलता है मैं खुश हूँ या मैं खुश हूँ या should I laugh, should I cry, what to do? I really don't know. There's such a lot of stress. Many times I've achieved something, but there is such a lot of stress with me that I don't know whether to be happy or not to be happy. I know my strengths and my weaknesses, but I'm not able to cope up with my weaknesses. So self-awareness hona bahut zaruri hai. There are major components of emotional intelligence. Quickly, I will take you through these components. So see if you are aware about yourself. Do you know your emotions well? If I can recognize the impact of my emotions, then I am a better pilot of my life. Okay, every day morning, we should be able to manage our emotions also equally well. So that is very important. Now here, this is the second aspect which talks about managing emotions. Now, whether we are able to handle our feelings, whether we are able to bounce back after a setup, Maybe, as I said, if there is a death in the family or there is a major setback, we are not able to bounce back. We get into depression. एक failure आ जाता है, हम लोग डर जाते हैं. हम लोग उसको normal होने में बहुत time लगता है. Your teacher has shouted at you, your principal has screamed at you. You are so badly affected that one full week you don't want to come to college. Why? You are not able to bounce back. You are not able to. You do not have the capacity to soothe yourself. So that is about managing our own emotions. It is so important to manage. Just a small example: if you get up early in the morning and you have a fight at home with your mother, you go to college and then you fight with your friends also. Why is that so? Because you have come in a bad mood. You are not able to stabilize or manage your emotions. किसी का गुस्सा किसी के ऊपर निकालना, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, तेरा गुस्सा हमारे पर मत निकाल. You control your emotions, manage your emotions, regulate them, learn to self-regulate. And the faster you are able to regulate your emotions, then that's a better thing. You have to exercise self-control. Okay. The third is motivating yourself. Now, as I said, suppose if there is a failure, and how do I face that failure? I motivate myself again. Okay. Failures are stepping stones to success. How many times have we heard this phrase? But how many of us are able to easily come out of that failure? If I am able to easily come out of that failure, then I possess emotional intelligence. But if I am not, then I will not be able to. So, I should be able to come into the flow and give that kind of outstanding performance and pay attention. I have to develop mastery. And if I am able to motivate myself, then what will I be able to do? I will be able to accomplish certain better things in life. I will be able to achieve success. I will be able to be more creative, more productive, because I'm able to motivate myself. Some of us have that internal motivation. Some of us don't. Some of us continuously need external motivation. Some of us need somebody to tell us, chalna, kar lena, khatam karna kaam khatam karna. Some of us don't need anybody to tell us. We are internally motivated and we do our work on our own. So that is about motivation. So first thing is being aware of your emotions. If you are able to manage your emotions, you will be able to come out of it. And once you come out of it, it is very important that you motivate yourself. So motivation is equally important. Understand this. Okay. The next one is empathy. I have to empathize with others. When I speak something, my words have a very big effect. Just yesterday, I was listening to a video where there was a small anecdote that was shared, that words make an image in our mind. If we listen to a negative comment, there we will have to have 17 positive comments to have a positive impact on our mind. One negative comment spoken again and again to somebody will make that person negative, and break the morale of the person, bring his self-confidence down, bring his self-esteem down. So whenever you are speaking something to somebody, even if it is a friend, so what? She may be your best friend, she may be your friend or your classmate, your teacher, your parent, anybody. When you use words, empathize. Think, अगर मुझे ये किसी ने बोला होता तो मुझे कैसा लगता? How would I feel if somebody would have spoken like this to me? Do I empathize with people? Do I have the kind of people skill? Okay. Do I understand what other people's need? Do I do something to... Now, there is difference between sympathy and empathy. Okay. Sympathizing, I see an accident on the road and I say, oh, देखना बहुत बुरा हुआ यार, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था. And I simply move away. That is sympathy. I sympathize with that person. But if I am empathetic, what would I do? I would wait. I would see if that person needs some help. I would pick up that person. I would take that person to the hospital, and I would see that some person is there to take care, and then I would proceed. So if I'm doing something for that person, then I'm empathizing with that person. So I must be empathetic. You understand the difference between sympathy and empathy here? Empathy is when I put myself in somebody else's shoes. I feel what that person is feeling. I realize what that person is realizing. I understand what that person is going through. So if you speak good words, you will definitely understand how nice it feels. Why not? We are so we control ourselves by giving good comments, right? You have to give good comments to motivate somebody to do something well or something good. You just oh, what a lovely dress you're wearing, you speak so well, I love your voice. Or just a passing comment on anybody, on anything. Why do we hesitate? We feel, अरे वो थोड़ी मुझे जानता है, मैं क्यों ऐसा बोलूं? But you could make that person's day by saying a good thing. You could make somebody's day special. If you are attending this course and if you like it, appreciate wholeheartedly. Yes. So appreciation to somebody will definitely motivate that person, motivate that individual to move further. Same applies to all of us. I'm not saying only students. We, as individuals, we need to do, whether it is teachers, whether it is students, whether it is parents, we all need to understand that good words, motivating words, encouraging words are very important in our life. And this is the fifth component. It is maintaining social skills or handling relationships. Again, communication is very important. In a family also, bhai behan ka jhagda ho, ya husband and wife ho, ya parent ho, parent and child, handling relationships. Today's we don't want to speak to anybody. Why? Because we fought, we've had a conflict. But none of us, we have that ego. None of us want to go and say sorry. Main kyun bolu sorry? It is not my fault. Why do we think like that? Why can't we understand that if it is hurting me, can I stay away from that relationship? No, I cannot. Then why take 2 days? Why take one day? Immediately within a few minutes, why can't I just go and say, oh, I'm sorry, whether it is your fault or my fault, come on, let's come to terms. Not break the communication channel. um, Attend to that person. Okay, tell me what your problem is. Fine, let me see if I can not repeat that again. If it is my mistake, let me see if I cannot repeat that again. So why can't we have that kind of social skills or handle relationships in that manner? Okay, so managing relationships to move people in the desired direction, and let's learn to forgive and forget. That is very, very important. Forgiving and forgetting, that's very important. Coming together, how, whatever conflicts we have, why can't we resolve conflicts? Because we need everybody and everyone with us. And when and remember, at times you have to give in, you have to say sorry, or you have to give in to your relationships, because it hurts you more than that person. Many times we do certain things to punish the opposite person, but you must understand that how bad you are feeling. So to keep yourself at peace, you have to forgive, you have to forget. Okay, so there are ways and means of how you can manage your emotions. So finally, it is all about receiving and regulation. This is the model that he had made. And this is a model that he had made. Yeah, so when you say emotional intelligence, you must have personal competence and you must have social competence. Personal competence is at your individual level, and social competence is at the society level. Okay, you should have recognition and you should have regulation. Recognition is being aware of your personal competence, aware of your social competence, and you must be able to regulate your personal competence, and you must be able to regulate your social competence. So that's all about that, what we learned about emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, remember EQ, that's your EQ, and that plays a very important role in your life. Now, this is not a questionnaire to check your EQ, but it is just to check your self-confidence. If you have high EQ, if you have high level of emotional intelligence, then your self-confidence will be very high. Okay, so just mark yourself. I have said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, 1 is never. Okay, occasionally and usually. If you read the statements quickly, just put your marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever marks you want to give yourself, just give your marks for these 10 statements. Basically, I am satisfied with myself. See, I am satisfied with myself. I feel that, oh, God has given me such a lot of things and I am very happy. So I'm very satisfied. So I may give myself 4 marks. If you are not satisfied, sometimes if you're satisfied, sometimes you're not, then you give 3, 4, 2, or accordingly. I'm happy with the way I look, your appearance, your looks. How happy are you with that? So you give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mark yourself. Any one score you write. Any one score. Just write any one score. I'm pleased with my relationships. If you're pleased with the relationships, or you feel, oh, I should have had better friends. I don't have good friends. I don't have good family members. I wish my mother was like hers, or my aunt was like hers, or I would have, a couple of uncles who would give me a lot of gifts. I'm not very happy with my relationships. Then mark yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give different levels. Give any one score for that. I can accept criticism without getting upset. I keep trying when things don't go my way. I'm glad for others when good things happen. I'm willing to seek help if I need it. I enjoy the challenge of trying new things. I feel comfortable meeting new people. I set goals and expectations for myself. Now, if you have written your scores for all the 10 statements, just, total them up. Total them up.
Yes, ma'am, they started doing. Some have got 35, 47, 40,
Very
45.
good, very good, very good. So here are your scores. Here is the interpretation of your scores. Here is the interpretation of your scores. If you stand somewhere between 41 to 50, your self-confidence is great. Excellent self-confidence. If somewhere between 31 to 40, you are mostly satisfied with yourself. 21 to 30, your self-confidence is lacking. 10 to 20, you need to work on your self-confidence. Do you have the confidence that you desire? If yes, good for you. If not, make some changes and keep trying. So that's about your emotional intelligence. And you have to find ways and means of developing your emotional intelligence. A quick go through of, how you can develop. I have just 5 things to share with you all to develop emotional intelligence. If the host permits me, I think I have almost, finished it's almost 12:29. Do you think I should continue 5 more slides? It may take about 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
All right, yeah. So here we have the next slide, which tells you develop your emotional intelligence. So some of you who got low scores, try doing these things and work on them well, so that you have high EQ and you can excel in your careers and succeed in your life. All right. The first one is breakthrough. Do not break down. Do not break down. Do not feel depressed. Do not, if you are overcome by stress or challenges, then many times we feel कि ये problem तो मेरी solve हो ही नहीं सकती. Not like that. If God has made a problem, if God has made it the lock, He is also taught us to make a key. So every problem has a solution. So try and find out different solutions to solve your problem. Okay, try and find out your weaknesses. You will be able to work on them and be able to excel. So be willing to accept that you're not perfect. See, some of us want to be perfectionists always. Let's accept that I cannot be perfect. Okay, I have to be a better person. Have the courage to look at yourself honestly. It can definitely change your life. So breakthrough, not breakdown. The second point is be assertive. How many of us are not able to say no to a very good friend, to a very good, to a family member, to your teachers, to your principals? Many times we are loaded with work, but yet if somebody tells us, "Aisa kar dena, please," you want to say no, but still you will go and say yes. And then you will create more problems for you, because you are not able to do that well, because you are already with such a lot of work. So assertiveness is the ability to express your own wishes and beliefs in a positive way. Too little assertiveness can make you a doormat. लोग आपका इस्तेमाल करेंगे कैसे भी. Okay, you will want, people will want you to just treat you just as they like. And too much of assertiveness, हमेशा no ही बोलते जाओ, that's also not the right thing. So that can make you a very bossy, that can make you aggressive. No, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. So that's also not right. So balance yourself, but learn to be assertive. Assertiveness is very important in life. Fine. Get a grip on your anger. If you feel that you get angry very easily, anger management is required. Learn these tricks. Deep breathe number of times. If you are angry, just deep breathe and relax for a minute. Think before you speak. Whether whatever I am going to speak is going to have some repercussions on me. Many times मुझे गुस्सा आया था तो मैंने बोल दिया. अरे बोल दिया मतलब क्या? Understand, think before you understand the repercussions, understand how it is going to have an impact on you. You cannot just get angry and speak anything you want in front of your boss, or in front of your heads, or in front of your colleagues, or in front of your friends, right? If you want to practice this, you could also keep a stress ball in your pocket. If some of you get angry very fast, or are not able to control your anger, keep a ball in your uh, purse, or keep a ball in your pocket, and whenever you're angry, just keep on squeezing that, because what you are doing is you're removing your emotions, or you are taking out your emotions on that ball and not on somebody else. So control your speech, and use that stress ball to vent out your feelings, vent out your emotions. Otherwise, you get out of that room and just go out and exercise a little. Because if you exercise, your feelings vent out, and then you become relaxed. You are able to think, and you know what you have to speak. See, I agree that many a times it is not our fault, but still we get angry. Yeah, even if it is our fault, we get angry. If it is not our fault, also we get angry. So this is a way of managing your anger. Take a time out in between. Just if you have continuous works, doing continuous work since morning, you may become angry that, oh, this is not going to finish. Take some time out, take some break, do something that you enjoy, then come back. So that's called diffused mode and focused mode of concentration. So from your focused mode of concentration, go to the diffused mode. Once you go to the diffused mode, your brain is processing whatever you have, whatever you were concentrating on, and then when you come back, you will be able to do that better. Stick with I statements rather than using you. Say, I did not like what you said, today. So please don't say that to me again. Don't say you did this. Don't put the blame on that person. Indirectly, you will say I. Use I statement. Say, I did not like this. I don't like the way you talk to me. I would be happy if you point out my mistakes in individual or in person. So use I statements rather than you. When you are saying you and blaming somebody, that person may not like it, and that person may also get angry. So understand that, and don't hold a grudge. As I said, learn to forgive and to forget. All right, be accountable for your actions, be responsible. Whatever, see, you may if you hurt someone's feelings, apologize directly. Say, I'm sorry. Don't ignore what you did. Many times we don't say sorry very easily. Most of us don't say sorry very easily, because there is some ego in us which keeps hurting us. That how do I say? And even if you realize your mistake, still you are hesitant to say sorry. Don't do that. Don't ignore what you have done. Don't avoid that person. And people are usually willing to forgive and to forget. But if you make an honest attempt and you say, oh, I'm really sorry, please, I assure you this will not happen again, then. And the last point that I want to share today is, do not hesitate to seek help. Conflict and disagreements are inevitable in human relationships. Resolving conflict in a healthy and in a constructive way can definitely strengthen trust between people, communicate with people, and ask for help whenever it is needed, and reduce stress levels. Okay, so that's what I had to share. These are my references, and thank you for being a wonderful participant. Thank you so much. And I take this opportunity to thank the organizers, the heads of the departments of KC College, the principal of KC College, for allowing me to take up this webinar. And inviting me as a resource person. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. The students are putting lots of comment and thanking you for the same. I will now like to call upon Neha, our faculty, to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Your voice is cracking up a little bit.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
On behalf of KC College and the Department of Biotechnology, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Session and interesting information on intelligence. I'm sure that all participants had a great time and also fun solving the questions and analyzing themselves on their respective intelligences. And thank you for also boosting up their confidence. I would also like to thank our dynamic principal, Dr. Hemlata Bagla, our star status coordinator, Dr. Sagrika Damle, for their constant support and encouragement. And also a big thank you to all the participants and for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay healthy. Also, there's an announcement which I would like to make, that the feedback link has been provided in the chat section. So the participants can fill the feedback form, and those who are not able to access it here, we are also mailing. We have also mailed the feedback link. So please go through your mails and fill the feedback form as soon as possible. The feedback link will be open only for an hour. So thank you.
Please fill the feedback form as soon as you receive it. Thank you, Neha, for that announcement.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Bhavna, so much for giving us such a beautiful insight on this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Prachi?
Yes, ma'am.
Once the link is posted, we can end our meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
You can make an announcement and end.
Chinmay, can you put the link?